everyone and welcome back to Chess with MNM. Today I brought to you one of the games of the day 1 of the round 4 of Chessable Masters online tournament on chess24.com between the world champion Magnus Carlsen and one of the top 10 players on the world, Alexander Grischuk. Now before I start this video, this tournament started yesterday, okay? And almost all the games ended by draw, but this game especially is a beautiful and exciting game. Carlsen with the white pieces and Grischuk with the black pieces. Carlsen opened this game by d4, queen's pawn opening. Knight to f6 played by Grischuk, c4, e6, knight to c3, and now bishop to b4. The Nimzo Indian defense. And the idea by this defense is controlling the e4 square, okay, now pinning this knight and controlling the e4 square by the knight on the f6 and not all of the white to push e4 in the future, okay. Knight to f3 played by Carlsen, and here Grischuk castled. Here there is the most played move is queen to c2, but Carlsen said no, I will play knight to f3, and it's not, I mean, it doesn't make that big difference. And here the black also has 3 main lines, castling or pushing c5, or playing b6 and then bishop to b7, okay? Here Grischuk castled, and now bishop to g5 played by Carlsen, sorry, bishop to g5, putting a pressure on the f6 knight. c5 hitting the center, and now e3 played by Carlsen. C capture on d4, e capture on d4, and now d5 again hitting the center by the d pawn. C capture on d5 played, e capture on d5, and now sorry, not king to e2, bishop to e2. Bishop to e2 preparing to castle. Here Grischuk played h6, kicking this bishop, and now bishop capture on f6. Now if you move this bishop away, example bishop to f4, I mean always the black can play something like knight to h5 to attacking the bishop, but now the knight here on the f4 comes in the next move into the e4 square, okay, with more pressure on the c3 square. So here Carlsen said no, I will give the bishop pair advantage to him. Instead this strong knight, bishop capture on f6, queen capture on f6, and here Carlsen castled. And here Grischuk played bishop capture on c3. And the question is why Grischuk sacrificed his bishop pair advantage. And the answer is they called on this strategy changing the advantage. And what does that mean? Now here Grischuk has the bishop pair advantage, okay, but the problem is that he cannot use, or there is no active way to use this advantage. So Grischuk here said no, I will change this advantage from bishop pair advantage to weak pawn on the c3 square, and it is after b capture on c3. Now the pawn on the c3 is weak pawn, and because there is pawn on the d5 controlling the c4 square, so it's hard for the black sorry, for the white to pushing c4, okay. And why this pawn is weak? Because there is no d or no p pawn to protect this pawn. So now Grischuk's plans, what Grischuk will work on is this weak pawn on the c3, and this is what we will see in the game. Knight to c6 played by Grischuk, and now knight to d2. Now here of course you cannot push c4 because after pawn capture and pawn capture, rook to d8 comes. Rook to d8 attacking the pawn on the d4. The only way to protect the pawn is pushing the pawn by something like d5, but simply now I have bishop to g5. Attacking, putting more pressure on the f3 square. I want to capture and then I want to destroy your king side. Also you cannot capture on the c6 because I mean if you capture then you will lose your queen. So for that reason here after knight to c6, okay, knight to d2 played by Carlsen, and now bishop to e6 supporting the d5 square, also controlling the c4 square with the pawn. Rook to e1 played, developing the rook on the open file, and now rook f to c8, bringing the other rook into the c file to start putting pressure on the c3 square. Knight to f1 played. I want to play something like knight to e3 to put more pressure on the d5 square, also controlling the c4 to push c4 in the future. And now knight to a5, I want to jump into the c4 square and not all of the white to push c4 in the future. Rook to c1 played, and now knight to c4. Now you will not be able to push c4. Also my knight is so strong on the c4 square. Queen to b3, attacking the pawn on the b7, b6 played by Grischuk, and now bishop capture on c4. Of course here you will not capture by the pawn, and because if you capture by the pawn then you cannot put more pressure on the c3 square, and all your plans is gone now. So here Grischuk captured by the rook captured on c3. I want to shift the other rook into the c file to put more pressure on the c3 square. Knight to e3 played, attacking the rook, also putting a pressure on the d5 square. And now rook back to c6. And now queen to a3 played by Carlsen. Now here, if you want to capture on the d5, unfortunately this move doesn't work, because simply I have queen to g5. Queen to g5 attacking the knight by the queen, also by the bishop. And you cannot move it, of course, because there is a queen behind it, and unfortunately you cannot protect the knight by something like c4, because simply I have bishop capture. Now if you capture by the opponent, so you will lose your rook on the c8, because there is a queen, c1, sorry, because there is a queen controlling that square also. So after rook to c6, here Carlsen played queen to a3, activating the queen on this diagonal. Also, if you move your rook away, I mean, if you play something like rook to c8 to put more pressure on my c3 square, so on my c3 pawn, so you will lose your a7 pawn. So here Grischuk played the best move on this position, and this queen to d8, with an idea that I will play queen to c7 to put more pressure on the c3 square, also protecting the a7 square. Then I will be able to play rook to c8, and I will put a huge pressure on the c3 square. And Carlsen here didn't play the best move at this position. Carlsen here said, no, I cannot deal with this pressure, and I cannot bear that, and I will push c4. The engine here says that Carlsen's best move here is playing knight to c2, and if queen to c7, then knight to b4 comes. Knight to b4 attacking the rook, and after rook to c4, then knight to a6. Carlsen here can make something, can make counterattack, and can bother the black. And the black here, yeah, I mean, the black has a slightly advantage, not that big or not that huge or not that winning advantage, but Carlsen said, no, I cannot deal with this pressure, and Carlsen he simply pushed c4 with an idea that if you capture by the pawn, and this is what happened, I will push d5. And if you capture by the bishop, and again this is what happened, I will play rook c to d1, and I will try to make some counterattack on your bishop. I mean, now you cannot move your bishop because there is queen behind it, and then I'm attacking the bishop on the d5 double, and then I will bring the other rook into the d5, and I will make some counterattack to you. Here after rook c to d1, Grischuk played rook to c5. Of course, here if you play something like rook to d6, this doesn't work because simply I can capture the pawn on the c4. You cannot capture by the bishop because simply you will lose your rook. So rook to c5 played. Rook to c5. Now the rook keeps an eye on the d5 square, also on the pawn on the c4. Queen to c3 played by Carlsen, and now queen to d7, making room for the rook to come into the game. Rook to d4, I want to bring the other rook into the d file to put a huge pressure on his d5 bishop. Rook to e8 played by Grischuk, and now rook e to d1. Rook e to d1, putting more pressure on the bishop and also threatening it, because I'm attacking that bishop with 3 pieces. And here Grischuk said, now the white's counterattack is the pressure on the d file, okay, or on the d5 square especially. And this knight on the e3 is so strong knight, and I mean this knight on the e3 controlling the d5 square, also the c4 square, and my counterattack is this passed pawn on the c file. So let's sacrifice the exchange and let's capture on the e3. And when Carlsen captured by the queen, and this is what happened in the game, let's push c3, attacking the a2 pawn. Also, I want to push c2, c1, and I will make a queen to myself. So easy. Here after c3, Carlsen played f3. f3 trying to, trying to closing the way in front this bishop, or the diagonal in front this bishop, and now simply queen to c6. Queen to c6 supporting c2 push. Queen to d3 played, attacking the bishop on the d5 square, but here simply c2 queen. If you capture that bishop, then simply I will capture by the rook, and if you capture by the queen, I will capture your queen, and if you capture by the rook, and simply I will bring a queen. Okay, so for the season here, after c2, you cannot capture on the d5. Rook to c1 only move to preventing c1, and now queen to c3. If you capture my bishop, I will grab your queen. So queen to f5 played, attacking the bishop. Queen to e8 played by Grischuk. Grischuk playing the best moves in this game. Queen to e8. The idea that if you capture by the rook or by the queen, I will play queen to e3 check, and then I will pick up your rook, and then I will move my queen away, and then I will bring a queen. So you cannot touch that bishop on the d5. So here Carlsen played queen to f5, preventing queen to e3. Now I'm threatening your bishop on the d5. So here simply bishop capture on a2 played. Queen to d2, attacking the rook, attacking the pawn on the c2 square. Queen to c6, protecting the rook, also supporting the pawn, and now rook to a4. Rook to a4, attacking the bishop, also the pawn on the a7. Queen to c5 check played, king to h1, and now bishop back to e6, moving away from the attack. Rook capture on a6 played by Carlsen. b5, I want to push my other passed pawn, and now rook to a5 trying to stopping the pawn. But here simply Grischuk played rook to c4 with an idea that controlling the b4 square. Now the idea is I want to move my queen away away from the rank, and then I will push b4 in the next move. h3 played by Carlsen, making room for the king. Queen to c6, now I want to push b4. Queen to d8 check played by Carlsen, king to h7. Queen to d3 check played by Carlsen, and now g6, preventing the checks. Queen to d8, again I want to play something like rook to a8, and I want to make some counter attack on your king. But here Grischuk simply pushed b4 with an idea that if you play rook to a8, and this is what happened in the game, I will simply play bishop to c8. I will simply play bishop to c8, and I will cut the connection between your queen and your rook, so you cannot do anything on the queen side, on the king side, sorry. Rook to b8 played by Carlsen. Rook to b8, the idea is putting more pressure, keep an eye on the b pawn. Yes, keeping an eye on the b pawn. And here at this position, Grischuk blundered. Grischuk's advantage is a huge. Grischuk here has a huge advantage, okay, because he has so strong passed pawns, connected passed pawns on the c or the b files. And I mean here Grischuk had to play queen to d7. Okay, queen to d7. Let's exchange the queens, and if you play something like queen to f5, putting pressure on the f7 square, then I have rook to c7. Rook to c7, now the rook controlling the f7 square. So here if you play anything like rook capture on b4, then simply I will play queen to d8, queen to d1 check, attacking the rook, also the king. And after rook capture, I will recapture by the pawn with the check, and this end game is winning for the black, because the black here is up a whole piece. But unfortunately, Grischuk here, I think Grischuk here had 30 seconds or something like that. I don't know, but Grischuk here blundered, a big blunder, and he played king to g7. Now king to g7 move, it seems like normal move. I mean, it seems like a move that doesn't make any difference, but unfortunately this move was a blunder, and this move changed. The black here had a huge advantage, but now the position is equal. Why? Because here Carlsen now is able to make a threefold repetition. Here Carlsen played rook to b6, attacking the queen. Now the problem here that if you move your queen away, example something like queen to a4, I want to push my passed pawn, then a queen to f6 comes check, and if king to g7, now again queen to d8 check, and if king to g7, now again queen to f6 check, king to g8, and now simply queen to d8 check. Now here if you play something like queen to h7, then queen to f8 comes, queen to f8, attacking the pawn on the f5. Now if you protect the pawn by something like rook to c7, then I will pick up your pawn on the b4. And the problem here that my pieces cannot stop two connected passed pawns, but now my pieces can stop one passed pawn. And let's don't forget that the black here, the white is up on exchange. He has a bishop for a rook. Okay, so here rook to king to g7 was a blunder by Grischuk. Yes, rook to b6 played by Carlsen, and now Grischuk here played the best move for him, and it is queen to c7. Queen capture, rook capture on the c7, rook capture on b4. Now I will play rook to b2, and then I will pick up that pawn. G5 here played, G5 here played by Grischuk, trying to do something on the king side, but simply here after G5, G4 played by Carlsen. Rook to c3 played by Grischuk, attacking the pawn on the f3. King to g2 protecting that pawn, and now bishop to d7. Bishop to d7 played by Grischuk. Rook to b2, give me your c pawn. Bishop to c6 played now, putting more pressure on the f3 square. Rook capture on rook b capture on on c2. Bishop capture on f3 played. King to g3 played, and now rook capture on c2. Rook capture on c2. Bishop back to d5. Rook to c5, attacking the bishop. Bishop back to e6. h4 played, and it was at this position that both players agreed to a draw. So yeah, this is the game. Hope you enjoyed it. I mean, one little move like king to g7, it seems like a normal move, but I mean, one move in chess can make a huge difference. So yeah, this is the game. Hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this game, please don't forget to smash the like and subscribe. Also, you can check out my previous videos, and see you in the next videos.